Hello and welcome to this very special mapping it out as we go behind the scenes of Project DEIOS. My name is Guy and I'm going to be asking the questions that you're too afraid to ask or just haven't bothered to write the word question in front of, so I didn't get to see it in chat. That's my job tonight, and we've got some interesting news to speak about. We have, and I say this with great trepidation, a launch date for the next big update. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We've got a little technical demo of some new bits and bobs that have been added to the software. And then finally, we're going to be talking about the auto updater, which is something that I think everyone has been looking forward to, because once that's implemented, all new changes will just happen automatically. So a lot of things going on there. And we're going to chat to Till from DungeonFog to get all of the inside information. As I mentioned earlier on, however, please, if you are wanting to ask a question, and I see that there are already questions in the chat, please type the word question in caps so that it sticks out so that I can see it and then pose it to Till tonight. Okay, well, here we go. Let's get Till in. Till, how are you doing, sir? Hello.
Hi, hello everyone. Nice. As always, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have you as our host here, Guy. Thank you very much. And hi to all of you. I hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. Has spring arrived yet? Has it arrived yet? Because it's been very warm here in the UK recently.
It peaked in for a day and was was raising our hopes, and then it just went away again. And it's freaking cold here. But I hope in the next few days it's hopefully sun is finding its way to Austria.
Oh, there we go. Okay, well, yes, we've got daffodils and it's all very beautiful and pretty here in the UK. Right, Till, we are talking about the new launch date and that sort of thing. Now, last month there was a flurry of activity releasing or redesigning, but it's Alpha 0.004. Is that the right number?
Honestly, because we're currently having our internal tracking system for the numbers, like for the version numbers, I don't really know where we are. I believe so. The version I'm showing today is 0.0.7. Now that's not going to be the one that we're releasing to you. That is just an internal tracking for us. But yeah, we had a very long mapping it out last month because we had to catch up for December and January. And now we're basically just in between and doing stuff, finishing everything. So I believe it's going to be a little shorter mapping it out today. But still an interesting one, I hope.
Absolutely. So, Forecaster 71 says it should be called version Alpha Tango Soda, since that makes as much sense as the numbers.
In the last mapping it out, you suggested that we should get some version names for it.
Yes.
And I've already seen a few suggestions in the Discord, so people have already suggested a few ideas of how we should call it. So we will see. We will still, if you have a great idea for what the next release is going to be called, just drop us a hint in Discord, and we will add it to the list of great and not so great ideas that are coming through.
Okay, well, there you go. I like that idea. I'm going to drop some ideas in. All right. So, when is the next update coming out? What's the date?
The next update is going to come out on March 22nd, which is like today we have February the 23rd, so it is in 4 weeks.
Absolutely. Is 4 weeks going to be enough to get everything done?
And I can almost hear the developers laughing. Well, yes, it is enough time to get things that we want to be finished. There's, as always, like, I know that there is somewhere in the corner a little gremlin waiting to bite us in the legs. Just as we believe we're finished, there might be something that still causes a few sleepless nights. But as far as I have seen where we are, and as far as I can show today, we're on good progress, and we're going to tackle this tonight. There is one major relief that is going to be released, and that is the auto updater. Because that means that we can focus on the essentials right now, and when the essentials are out, we can then just push new features, new updates, patches, bug fixes, whatever, to your build, to your installed build, and you will have it instantly.
Now that does raise a good point, or question, I suppose. In terms of the staggered release, you are going to be holding back some of the tools and things that we had seen in previous releases for this release. Is that correct?
I feel like the way you're putting it sounds like we have a full palette of finished tools that we're purposefully holding back just for
fun,
some dark reasons. The answer is there are a few things that might interfere with the things that we want to see tested. Because for those of you, and I believe many of you have the current Deus version, and they know how RAM hungry that one is, and they know how crash hungry, do you say that? Well, how often it crashes. So what we want to do is we want to release the first version that mainly focuses on testing stability and performance on all your systems. So we have, let's say, tuned back a few of the features that we know that can be RAM hungry, but we want to make this like a step-by-step release of those features to understand at what point your systems are getting in trouble, or hopefully are not getting in trouble with, instead of giving everything out, because then debugging is quite difficult.
Okay, that makes much more sense. And then, of course, once the auto update is in place, it won't be an issue to then slowly release those features in and see what's happening there.
Yes.
And we are still in an we're still in alpha. There's no question. So I think that's something.
Well,
that's
we're not even
to bear in mind.
Yes, we are in alpha, but we're still in tech alpha, which means technical alpha. So this means that we are still trying to verify that our new approach is now working solid on all your systems. And before we haven't verified that, or better to say, before you haven't reported that back to us and verified for us that it is working on your systems, we will stay in tech alpha. And once we have the verification, we say, okay, it's running great on all the systems that we hope that it's running great for, then we will leave tech alpha.
Okay. Now, what can we expect to see in the new release? So we're holding some stuff back, but what are we going to see in the new release?
I would say about 90% of everything that was in the old, in the recent alpha release. So it's landmass drawing, it's prop drawing, it's all the select and modification stuff. We're not going to, so in the first release, we're not going to tackle the layers list, because that we expect to be very RAM hungry. So we're going to bring that in later. There are probably a few things, I can't really think of anything really that is like a major difference to what the current version is. There might be a few features that are just not that performant. No, performant is the wrong word. Not that good on UI level than it was in the initial one, because the initial one was built with Chromium embedded framework, and we've removed the Chromium embedded framework and replaced it with a different UI framework. But generally speaking, you will be able to draw landmasses, you will be able to place props, you will be able to modify your map, you will be able to save your map, to share your map technically, which means to take the save file and move it, save it, duplicate it, send it to a friend, and export the map in a very rudimentary basis. So,
okay, that makes sense. I beg your pardon. What has to be still done over the next 4 weeks?
You know, this would be a good opportunity to switch to the little screeny screen I have prepped for tonight, because that is also a good reference for me to look at.
All right. Screeny screen, take over.
Okay, so this is our Deus Road Map, and we're looking at the new Tech Alpha release, which is on March 22nd. That's what you're seeing here on screen. We've technically 95% of the core are finished. We still have to do our undo and redo stack are still not complete. There are things that you can't undo at the moment, or then can't redo at the moment. So we have to complete our undo redo stack. We're not 100% certain if we catch all undo redo functions for the 22nd release, but the critical ones will be in there. We currently, so this week, we are working on the crash reporter and the analytics. Because of the changes that we did to our core system, our current crash reporter is not doing proper crash reporting anymore with the new release. So if you're still playing in the same Deus release that is currently available, the crash reporter works fine. But once we switch to the new version, the crash reporter wouldn't be reporting. So we need to fix that. And that is something that we're currently working on. And for Linux, so I've seen in our dailies, I have seen that for Mac, the high resolution DPI support is already done. But for Linux, there are still things to do. So that is still on the list that falls, generally speaking, under our core development. In the tool section, the tools are in there. You can use your props, you can draw landmasses, but you currently don't have any settings that you can adjust once you select the prop or you select a landmass. So that is in the works at the moment, which means that we're 90% done with the tools that are going to be in the next release. And when it comes to UI, we still don't have a proper dashboard in there. It's a very rudimentary dashboard at the moment. So the dashboard is currently being reworked and implemented, and we haven't had our polish yet. So if my expectation would be that the next 2 weeks are very heavy on finalizing code, and then the final 2 weeks will be a mix between bug fixing, like user interaction bugs, if a landmass is colliding somewhere or is causing something that might be unexpected behavior, and then just polishing the UI, making sure that the buttons are looking good, that the button states are proper, that you have values that you can use, things like that, just UI polish. This is going to be basically our countdown to release on March 22nd. And then there are a few things that we already know that will not make it into the 22nd release, partially because we want to hold them back for our first performance testing, and partially because they were just taking too much time and we just wanted to hand out this build to you instead of waiting until we finished it. So there is going to be a Parity update that is somewhere between 2 weeks to 4 weeks after the launch, that will then include an advanced export, the localization. Currently, the current version is localized for German and English. The new version isn't localized yet, but that is going to find its way in back in the Parity update. Then we have to do foundation cleanup, which is basically just code cleanup and code cleanup. The random prop brush, the advanced prop settings for like randomizing scale and rotation and stuff like that will be part of the Parity update. Honestly, I don't know what improved selection is. We will see, because we can multi-select already. So maybe there are just additional settings for selections. And then just bringing in UI stuff like shortcuts, advanced prop library, which means our current prop library has not the search function in there, but the next Parity update will then bring that back in. And again, general UI improvements. Right. So that's our roadmap. That's where we are at the moment.
Okay, interesting. Now, so a few questions that come up, and we're going to come to those questions shortly. We will have a moment for that, so bear with us. Now, in terms of the Parity or the updates and that sort of thing, are they going to be released on a regular basis after the primary release, or is it going to be as and when they're ready?
I had a discussion with that about that with Nikita last week, and we were, to be absolutely honest, we don't know yet. I feel like it's really hard to estimate how quick we are on those updates and what makes sense for you. I believe we're going to start with ad hoc, which means just we're pushing out whenever we have something new, we're pushing it out. But at some point, this might get complicated and we might just start to collect things and trying to do a monthly or bi-monthly update for features. So this is, again, to be really honest here, this is something that we would just have to learn how it's working best for us. We're definitely going to start with ad hoc. So the second we have something finished, we're pushing it out, because like our general motto for this year is trying to win back time that we've lost last year, and that means that we're fast-paced, getting out updates as soon as we have them finished.
Whilst you're saying that, I think I'm going to jump into one of the questions that was sent through on YouTube, because we're streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. And on YouTube, Mr. Bidwell asks the question, is there any developmental impact to Apple moving to their M1 CPU?
Oh God, this is a question to Bodhi. I think, honestly, that has been discussed in the last mapping it out with Bodhi. So if you just go to the YouTube channel and watch the last one, somewhere around the early third of the video, Bodhi is a guest and he's showing the Mac build and he's getting asked that exact question. I can't answer it. I'm sorry. I have no idea.
Yeah, I see Lazarus is there saying no impact due to Rosetta 2. Which is
a stone with a lot of languages on.
That's my history geek coming out. That's as much as I know. I don't. Do you remember the 3 languages on the Rosetta Stone?
Well, I believe it's Greek.
Yes.
It's Latin and probably something like Persian or
I think it was
Mesopotamia.
Greek, hieroglyphics and Sanskrit. I think it was those.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. Yeah. Anyway, nonetheless,
I could be wrong too.
This is not History 101, thank goodness, because otherwise we're all failing. Now, Till, once you already mentioned that we were going to do technical alpha, it is kind of going to get to an end. You said that that's not the end of alpha, though. We then go into another alpha. What is that?
It's, this is the problem with all the naming conventions and how do you call that thing? Yeah. Technical alpha, and I'm very confident that with the patch that we're going to release on March 22nd is going to be the end of technical alpha. There's going to be this parity update that is kind of completing the feature list that we had released in our initial build. But I'm strongly convinced that this release is going to give us the results that we need. And again, we're not looking for more learnings on how performance works. We knew how performance worked. We've seen how performance worked on the old test. We just want a confirmation, and we're hoping to get that confirmation that we have now fixed the performance stuff. So worse for wear, we're getting feedback that some people still have driver issues or performance issues, then we will address that. But all in all, from all the internal tests that I have seen, we've checked off the performance part, which means that this ends our testing phase of making sure that our core foundation is working on all the systems. So without naming it a technical alpha or whatever alpha, This is the point where we are confident that what we have done for you is going to carry the weight of all the features that we're going to add afterwards. And that was what I was looking for the last 6 months, to get that confirmation. And once we have that, we will end this part of the testing phase, and we will then focus on adding more features to get your feedback. And this is not about performance then anymore. This is all about, how do you like the feature? What would you like to see for that feature to be implemented? What makes your life as a map maker easier? So right now, it's all about tech stuff, and it's basically just, it's all about managing your systems. And I hope that by March 22nd, we have left that behind us, and then we're at the, I would say, I'm sorry, Nikita, the more interesting parts, which are drawing tools. And I'm really looking forward to this.
Okay, lovely. And then, is there a risk that between the iteration of technical alpha and feature alpha, that we lose maps?
In the whole alpha, that's why we're calling it an alpha, there is the risk of losing maps. It's unavoidable, because if we, for example, if we're releasing the landmass drawing tool to you, and you're drawing landmasses, and they are great, but you give us the feedback that you would like to have a different tool, that it should work differently. That might result in us changing parts of the drawing tool in a way that the landmass information is stored differently. And the second we store that differently, it's not going to work in the new version, because we basically changed the mechanics behind it. Now, I have a very sad victim to that, which is my 100K map from last stream, because we changed something in prop placement, and my 100K map doesn't open anymore. So what we are currently working on is a converter script that allows you to take maps and convert them into a newer version. But this is, I would say, this is going to be and is going to remain rather experimental. We're not putting a lot of attention into that tool, just simply because we're trying to establish tool sets there, and it's always a goal for us to make sure that maps remain active or accessible throughout the different stages, but it's just, there's no guarantee for it. I can't, it's not possible to say, yes, they will always be available, because they might not.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Something to bear in mind. I mean, that's why we are in technical. Okay, I'm going to jump to some questions before we move on to the next section of tonight, which is a demonstration of what is currently happening in the DEIOS space.
Sorry, before you ask the first question, just because I feel like I should add that, this is only alpha related. The second we go into beta, we are past that point. So beta maps will remain consistent through new versions. Just in alpha, we don't want to put the stress on our shoulders to also care about persistent maps. This is something for late alpha, when we're going to kind of have nailed out all the features, and then we're going to pay attention to that.
Absolutely. No, that does make sense. Does make sense. So, random questions from the audience. Flocky Allianson asks, so I'd like to know, will there be more gore, evil, dark assets? For example, corpses, piles of corpses, blood pools, bones, torture devices, sullen floors with lava underneath, and sewers stuff, etc. I'm assuming that's for DungeonFog.
Yes, and eventually for DEIOS as well, because the battle map editor will be part of DEIOS. If you want to suggest props, come and join us on our Discord. We have a prop wish list where you can just add those to the wish list. We're always collecting those for our community updates, where we're doing a community prop pack. In regards to DEIOS, there is a setting that kind of probably fits that, which is from Apocalypse Studios. So this is Dead House Sonata, which is rather gothic dark. So when it comes to region maps and city maps that are more in the dark, gory area, there might be something that you will find suitable for you there.
That's going to be really useful for the new book that Wizards of the Coast just announced, isn't it?
You know,
he doesn't like it, folks.
My first campaign was Curse of Strahd. This is where I learned Dungeons and Dragons. This is where I learned to play and love this genre and this hobby. I'm like, this is, what is it? 6 years ago when they released it. I'm still playing with the same game groups. So this book is like, I'm not going to return to Curse of Strahd after 6 years. I would have hoped for a different, honestly, this is just my personal opinion, but I would have hoped for a different book.
Okay, what we're talking about, in case you don't know, Wizards of the Coast announced their new settings book that they're going to be releasing shortly is Von Richtenstein's Guide to Ravenloft, which is a very dark and somber setting. Of course, Curse of Strahd is set in there, but that's only one of 8 domains. So there are 7 others within that Ravenloft space. But anyway, that's not the point. On with the questions. In YouTube, Sir Dawes asks, do you know if the city builder, we're talking future here, will require placing individual buildings, or will there be some auto-generation options? Amazing work so far.
Yes. So, no. Honestly, like this is exactly what we're doing our Deus City Builder. This is the same thing that we're going to do with the biome system for world maps. Is you really don't want to place down each and every single building on a map. What you want to do is you want to create an area that is then auto-populated with buildings, and that area should be defined by, I don't know, the races that live there, the wealth level of that, let's call it the district, of that district, the general purpose. Is that a merchant district, or is that a residential district, or is that an administrative district, a military district? So there will be several options that you can pick, and we will randomize and auto-populate that area with buildings instead of forcing you to place each and every single one, which means you still have the option to place single buildings manually, or even each and every building manually, but there will be this district tool that makes your life, or should make your life, easier.
Lovely. Tavernaut asked the question, which part of the roadmap does the blueprint fall under? Blueprint support fall under? Are we talking technical alpha, alpha 2, beta?
I was trying to force it into the Parity update, because I needed to. Like, I really, especially when we're looking at the map that I'm showing today, I kind of tweaked around it to make it work. But the blueprint feature is something that I badly want. My dev said, maybe Parity update, but we can't promise, so please don't put it on the list. But it's very high on priority list for us.
Okay. Wow. Let me just see. There's lots of chat going on. I think Boaty's in chat, busy sorting out that Mac issue. So we'll leave him to it. Okay, let's get on to looking at the Landmass demo. Do you have it for us?
Yes, sir. Yes, I have it. Let me just quickly do things before we switch. So many screens, and mapping it out screen share. That's what I want to click. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click. Okay, there you go.
I like how you just pop into existence. All right, take us away.
Plop. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a map that I built today, mainly testing the landmass features. And as you can see, we have increased the precision on how you can draw landmasses. Each and every one, let me just see, each and every one is selectable and movable. And I can always go in, and we now have 3 different brush modes, which is You know this from the current build, which is the round tool. So no jitter, no coastline effect to it. Then we have the coastline effect to it. We have the add mode and the subtract mode. And now we have also introduced a fill and no fill mode. And let me just quickly demonstrate that. If you have the fill mode active and you close, it will autofill. If you don't have that, it will not autofill. And we have already started to implement the auto merge. So if I connect those two landmasses, they are now connected. And if I go in and subtract, let me just quickly change that. If I go and subtract, they are now separated. And there should be an option, it's not working at the moment, that if I shift that in there, it will merge with that one. It's currently not working yet, but this will find its way in there. Which means that it is really easy to go in and start, okay, let's do some rivers. Again, the river tool is going to be a separate tool, but if you want to create something like those canyon areas over here, and all those little details, having all those little add and subtract features and the difference between the fill and no fill mode makes it really easy. I don't know, I have never tested it. Let me just see if yes, I can already multi-select things and move them. So this is, we're paying a lot of attention to that to make sure that this is really, really, really working as good as we're hoping for. Because to my opinion, this is a big advantage to what other map making tools out there are offering, because there you can't select and you can't edit, and afterwards you can't modify landmasses that easily as you can do it here in DEIOS. So I think whenever you're doing something like a software, you're thinking about the what's called the unique selling proposition. And having a perfectly editable landmass tool should be one of our USPs here. And I'm really happy with the results so far. And this is not going to be the end of the road, but this is a good progress on that part, where we then can take over and add in all your wishes and all your ideas of how we can improve that still.
We've got a very good question here from Funcracker, who says, Till, how long did it take you to create this map? It looks like it would have taken ages.
Thanks, good question. My last tech meeting today ended at 4 p.m. It's now 8 p.m. here. So I spent about 40 minutes on that map.
And that's looking very good. Very, 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 very good, I must admit.
Yeah, but I must say, I have cheated a little bit. For those of you who have a great eye for geographical shapes and landmasses, this is a weird mix of Scotland rotated and England. And what I did was I took a map of Scotland and a map of England. I overlaid it with a separate program. I've overlaid it, and then I traced it. Because I've learned from myself that I'm not really good at doing natural coastlines. I'm a lot better if I can trace them. And that again brings me to the previous question that was asked in the chat. When are we going to see a blueprint tool? Well, because Till is so bad at doing natural terrains himself, the blueprint tool is on a quite high priority list.
Well, there we go. I mean, definitely honesty. Definitely honesty. All right, Till, that's lovely. Thank you. Shall we switch back to the studio?
Yes. 3, 2, 1, switch.
He'll join us shortly. There we go. Okay, so is there an export option so that if we do design landmasses as you've done, we can save that somehow so that when we get the next build, it doesn't get lost?
Yes, it's a very rudimentary export option at the moment. It basically just creates a snapshot. this is something that we're improving, and this is something that we will, again, that's why we've seen on the Parity update the advanced export options. This is something that we will still make better over time. But yeah, like it would be rather useless if you have just a map drawing tool and then no way to get that map out of your tool apart from screenshotting it. So there's going to be a very rudimentary export option in the 22nd release, and pardon me, then we will improve on that with the Parity update and the future updates then.
Okay, that makes sense. Now the auto updater. Let's switch track a little bit.
Yes.
That is going to be included in the March release, the 22nd of March.
It's already, so unfortunately, I tested it, which means I auto-updated to the latest version. And then it was, do I want to roll back and make sure that it works so I can showcase it, or do I want to make a map today? So the auto updater is already finished. So the Windows version for the auto updater is already finished. I know that for Mac and Linux, it might make it, but it might not make it in the March 22nd. We do not know yet. This is something that we're still investigating. But for Windows, the auto updater is already working, and this is done. Check. We're happy with it. It's again a little bit polishing here and there. But basically, it's already auto updating.
Fantastic. So now, once that's in place, what does that mean for the users? They won't. Would it be a button that you have to physically press to update? Or?
Since I have tested it, I know how it works. The second you open the application, you get a window that says a new version is available. Do you want to update? And then you can click on cancel or yes, update. And that will close the application. Then there is, and this is something that is when I'm talking about polish, something that we want to improve. Right now, the application closes for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then opens back up. In the back end, the application was removed and downloaded and reinstalled with the new packages. And this is something that there should be more of a user interface there that says downloading, installing, opening. So that you know what your PC is doing to you at the moment. But yeah, it's a button, you click on it, it grabs the newest version, and then auto updates the existing version and opens back up the application.
Okay, there we go. Right, some audience questions now, as I think we're coming towards the end of what we had planned to talk about. There are a few. I'm just reading here. Tavernaut is commenting on your attire. If Till is going to wear that beautiful DungeonFog hoodie, I would suggest setting an outline around the letters because they disappear against the DungeonFog logo. Are the letters even there? I think it's just the
hoodie. I think is that one.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So that there aren't any letters at all. It's just the logo.
Here, yeah. No, but you on Zoom, like on stream. Sorry, you have my name is sitting right above.
Oh, I see. Is that what? Okay, so it's actually to me. Fix the broadcast. Okay, all right, fine. Thank you. I'll do that, yeah. Okay. People can get these, the hoodie and the beanie and that sort of thing if they really want to show support soon. Okay.
So one of the things, this is not DEIOS related, but one of the things that is currently happening and will involve at least you, Guy, in the next few days is we're going to make an internal testing for the new marketplace. And I definitely want you to be one of our internal testers, Guy. But once the marketplace, and it is end of Q1, is when we believe that we're launching our marketplace beta. Then there will be a little merch store as well, because we got the question quite a lot of times where people said, well, isn't there some DungeonFog merch? And we said, yeah, okay, let's do it. I believe we will be our best customers because we I have a beanie and I have a hoodie and I have a
Yeah.
t-shirt. I'm not wearing the t-shirt today because I spilled ketchup on it. But
It's a nice clean logo then. What I like is it could be DungeonFog. It is DungeonFog, but also at the same time it's just a D20 with this wonderful world thing around it.
yeah.
So it
And the second we have the blueprint option, I could take a picture of it and retrace it then in days.
you see, now you're talking our language. Stephen Waters continues the question about the city building component of
Yes,
DungeonFog.
please.
And says, once you auto-generate a district, can you manually manipulate those assets within the district? Is that the plan?
I would hope so. So the idea was that like this coin has two sides. If you're auto-generating it and you want to manipulate it, you might need to convert it so that we will replace the auto-generation to props on the map that you can then move and delete, which then means that you can't edit the district anymore. So I believe this is the route that we're taking, which says we will give you a district that you can still adjust the points, the district points, and add a little bit here and add a little bit there, and it will always auto-generate the buildings. And when you're done with that and you make something like convert to, I don't know what we're calling it then, editable props, it will then stop being a dynamic district and will then just be placed props, which means that you then can't edit the district anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Now that is all much later in the bigger scheme of things.
So in the bigger scheme of things is that we're aiming to finish the world map tools by fall this year, and then go into the world map tools. Sorry, the city map tools. So I assume that somewhere around fall this year, we're going to start with the city builder.
There we go. That makes sense. Yeah, that's exciting. It's exciting times for that. The last question that I have seen here is, what's under the beanie? It's just hair. It's hair.
It's just hair, and not as much hair as there was 20 years ago.
I have one last question. It's a personal question, which I've never actually asked. Do you guys plan out DungeonFog and execute the first pass of it, or not DungeonFog, DEIOS, in English or in German? Because all the buttons are in English.
Yeah,
but when you're working through it, because you guys are all speaking German.
Yes, we all speak in German, but we know that our main audience, it's the beauty about the RPG scene is that it is international. There are people from all around the world, so it would be really stupid to do everything in German. If we can all do it in English. There has been a weird transition over the last year on Discord, because our Discord, like, we have an internal area on our Discord where all the dev talks takes place. And when this started, everything was in German because it was just us four. And now that the company has grown and more people have joined, we now have this little thingy, the little note on every Discord that says, please stay in English. So even our internal communication, especially now that Nathaniel has joined us, so Larsus has joined our team in January, early February, as a tester, someone who's doing QA testing for us. So he's talking to all levels, and he's from the States. So we're now all talking English. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Till, thank you for being on the show tonight and for sharing with us all those cool and wonderful things. Thank all of you for watching. Now, if you're wondering why aren't we talking DungeonFog, that's because Till does a special show. When is your show, Till, on DungeonFog? Because that's something to watch out for.
So I'm streaming. Regular streaming schedule is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. UTC, which is exactly when we started today. It's going to be there is our community, DungeonFog community update that is mainly about the battle map editor. Every Thursday at 7:30 UTC, I'm doing just a fun little map stream where I sit and build maps for my office games. And here and there a map for Orkenspalter TV, because this is a German channel that we're collaborating with. And this week on Thursday, we have another Orkenspalter TV stream at 2 p.m. UTC, where we are building an adventure. So Myri from Orkenspalter TV and myself, we're sitting together and we're writing an adventure and we're planning it, and I'm doing the maps for it, and she's writing the stories and the NPCs for it. This is in German. So for those of you who speak German, join us this Thursday on Orkenspalter TV. And for everyone else, if you would like to see some DungeonFog maps being made by me, you can ask questions, just hang out with me and chat while we're building maps on Thursday evenings at 7:30 UTC.
There you go. And it's well worth watching, because Till does stuff and you go, how did he do that? And then you can ask him those questions. So really worth watching if you are a battle map editor. Now, that's it. So please, folks, remember to hit that like button if you're on YouTube, or the subscribe button, and the bell will alert you when another stream is taking place. If you're Twitch, just hit the follow button, I believe, and then that should give you an alert when the show goes live. So we'll be back at the end of next month for more updates, and it will be once everything has been released. So that should be well, it should be an episode not to miss. Anyway, Till, thank you for being here.
Thank you as always for having me. Thank you everyone for asking great questions, and have a good one. See you soon.
Goodbye.